The caller was from an MSP. She was looking for a protocol for handling IT support tickets. She wanted to ensure her team provided consistently excellent support. It certainly was not an unreasonable request, but IT teams sometimes underestimate just how much their credibility depends on a solid support ticket protocol. Not a fancy tool, not a heroic engineer who can brute force anything. What really builds trust with users is a predictable workflow you and your team follow every single time someone reaches out for help. More details on that in a moment. Technical skills solve problems, but people skills build careers. Compassionate Geek online on-demand training empowers IT teams to be easy to work with and create positive customer experiences. That means fewer conflicts, happier users, and a more successful IT team. Give your team the skills they need on their schedule. Visit CompassionateGeek.com to get started today. There's a link to the course in the notes just below. If you have ever managed a help desk or run a support team, you know the truth. People don't call IT because things are going well. They call when they're frustrated, blocked, stressed, or embarrassed. What they want is for the problem to go away, but they also want clarity. They want confidence. They want someone who knows what they're doing and who treats them with dignity and respect. That lines up with the 5 principles from my book, The Compassionate Geek: technical competence, compassion, empathy, good listening skills, and treating others with dignity and respect. A good protocol turns those principles into everyday behavior. So let's break down what a strong support ticket protocol looks like and why it matters so much. It's important to mention that this is just one approach to a ticket protocol. You're welcome to use it as is or as a starting point for developing your own protocol. Regardless, start with intake. This is the step most teams skip without realizing the damage it does. The moment a ticket arrives, acknowledge it, even if you don't have an answer yet. Let the user know you saw it. You're on it, and you value their time. Think about the emotional tone you set. Awareness and intentionality matter here. A short, thoughtful acknowledgement stops users from guessing the worst and immediately lowers frustration. The intake step is also where good listening comes into play. You're not just collecting symptoms, you're understanding the context. What were they trying to do? What is blocked? What is the impact? The more you understand up front, the smoother the rest of the process goes. Next comes triage. Every queue feels urgent when you look at it all at once. Without a triage structure, your team naturally gravitates to whatever is easiest or most interesting, and that leads to delays, inconsistent service, and unhappy customers. Triage should be based on business impact. High impact gets immediate attention. Lower impact gets scheduled. Routine tasks flow into the regular cycle. This is where technical competence supports leadership. Users want to know their issue is handled in a thoughtful and intentional way. Also, consider who's making the request. The CEO or other high-level personnel, for example, will generally be first in line for service. Once you begin working the problem, communication is everything. Silence is the enemy of customer satisfaction. When users don't hear from IT, they assume the worst. They feel abandoned. They start escalating. Simple updates prevent most of that drama. You don't need to write a novel, just keep people informed. Share progress. Reset expectations if needed. You're not just fixing technology, you're helping a fellow human regain control of their day. Compassion and empathy show up in these small touches. When the issue is resolved, don't just close the ticket, confirm success with the user. Show them what was done, explain how you verified functionality, invite them to test. Closing the loop creates trust. It shows that you take their experience seriously and you're not just rushing to clear your board. Of course, consider their level of technical knowledge in crafting your explanation. And then we come to documentation. Look, nobody gets into IT because they love to write ticket notes, but documentation is a gift to your future self and your teammates. It prevents repeat work. It accelerates troubleshooting. It strengthens your professionalism. A complete ticket should tell the story, what caused it, what steps were taken, what fixed it, and what could prevent it from happening again. Finally, review trends. Tickets are data. Patterns will always emerge if you take the time to look into the data. Recurring issues highlight training gaps or infrastructure weaknesses. Repeated user errors might indicate confusing interfaces or missing instructions. Aging hardware may show up as a recurring failure. When you step back and review the patterns, you shift from reactive firefighting to proactive improvement. That is intentional leadership, and that is how IT earns a seat at the table. All of this comes back to awareness and intentionality. You stay mindful of how your words and actions affect others. You choose behaviors that create positive outcomes. You treat people with dignity, even or especially when they're stressed. You deliver results consistently because you follow a predictable workflow. That is why the support ticket protocol matters. It isn't bureaucracy. It is a relationship management tool disguised as a process map. It helps users feel supported. It helps technicians stay organized. It helps managers demonstrate real value. And it puts the 5 principles of the Compassionate Geek into daily practice. Follow a good protocol, and your team becomes known as dependable, calm, and capable. Users trust you because you communicate clearly. Leadership trusts you because you deliver results, and your team members trust each other because they share the same workflow. And for this morning's caller with a question about ticket protocols, now you've got a good solid starting point. Thanks for the inspiration. Be sure to press the thumbs up button and subscribe to this channel. Want more? You'll find tips and training on IT customer service, teamwork, and leadership at CompassionateGeek.com.